a privilege to come back to you today. I want to believe that you all had a wonderful weekend out there. I want to believe that for those in Boe Division in particular, and Manu also, I want to believe you guys out there had a wonderful weekend, considering the fit you put out there in the Amber World Drive of Saturday and Sunday for Manu and Bowie respectively. It was such a wonderful participation to see people from Manu, from Bowie, pour out into those Zoom meetings and empty their pockets for the world draft in their respective counties, that is Manu and Bowie. I shall be coming to that tonight. And tonight we shall also be talking about the announced Victoria Seaport going operational. The announced Victoria Seaport going operational, as announced last week by La République du Cameroon officials. We shall also be talking about the UNDP, United Nations Development Program, announced partnership with La République du Cameroon for reconstruction to begin in Ambazonia. We shall be talking about that, and also about some land sales. But above all, I have a very important announcement to make concerning May 20th. Once more, I welcome all of you who are joining from Ground Zero. I want to salute you all, the restoration forces who are watching me by way of satellite, by way of your mobile gadgets. I want to welcome all of you in the diaspora, in the European Union, in the UK, in Canada, in Asia, all of you in the United Arab Emirates, and all of you, of course, in continental Africa, including, of course, Ground One, and those of you in Canada, and, of course, the continental Americas, the Americas, as they call it. That includes the United States and Latin America. It's a privilege again to have you tune in to ABC Amber Television, coming to you all the way from the great state of Texas, precisely Houston, beaming across the deserts and the oceans to all of sub-Saharan Africa. Thank you for tuning in. And again, we got so much to talk about today. I will encourage you, please go ahead and, as usual, hit your share button as quickly as you can, so I can come to you with the broadcast proper. So please go ahead, hit your share button. Go ahead and hit your share button. Let us get the platform saturated as soon as possible, because I got so much to talk about, to bring to you today. Got so much to bring to you today. In the meantime, let me see those of you who have joined the broadcast. Let me see those of you who have joined the broadcast. Normally we need 700 for me to come to you with the broadcast. We have over 400 already, so please, a little over 200 to go. Hit your share button as we join. Let others know I am here on the platform already. Ground Zero is waiting for you to populate. Ground Zero is waiting for you to populate the platform. So please go ahead and hit your share button. Let me announce this. This is very important. In the past years, since the launching of ABC, and the same thing we do with SABC, in the past years, we have come on the platform and waited for you to invite others to join the broadcast before we bring you content. in the very near future, perhaps in the next 2 weeks to come, after 2 weeks to come, we have decided here at ABC that when we come on, we will have nothing to wait for. When we come on, when I come on, in particular, 2 people, 3 people, I would have to start with the broadcast, because this is television, pure television, and we wouldn't want to remain in the habit of waiting for people to join the platform, especially Facebook, once we are live. But in the next 2 weeks, I'm just giving you a heads up so that when you hear us announce a program, a live program, be there from the start so you don't have to miss anything. So in the next 2 weeks, let's say end of the month, beginning June, we will no longer come and wait for people to populate Facebook platform as we have done over the past years. When we come live, we will be live from minute number 1 with the proper package, with the presentation proper. So please, I'm just giving you a heads up, and that would also count for other ABC live programming, that habit where we come on live and ask you to populate the platform and give me 700 people before I come to you with a broadcast. That is going to end in the next 2 weeks. When I come on, I shoot straight to the broadcast proper. So please let others know so that they shouldn't think that we will come and wait for a population on the screen or on the platform. That will not happen after 2 weeks. Just giving you again heads up. So please go ahead. We have over 500 people already, less than 200 to go until I come to you with this presentation proper. That is it. So please, ladies and gentlemen, it is going to be a very, very exciting broadcast today. A very, very exciting broadcast today. And I just want you to go ahead and invite as many as you can. Ground Zero, I know they are glued in. Ground One's glued in. The rest of Africa, and thank you. Those of you watching from Angola, watching from Sierra Leone, watching from Equatorial Guinea, watching from Benin Republic, watching from Gabon, at least these are the countries, watching from Nigeria, at least these are the countries we already know are receiving ABC by satellite, and also South Africa is included. So please, thank you for joining the broadcast, and remember to spread the news about ABC. I would like to know today, if you are watching from any of these countries, please let me know ABC's channel number on your satellite in your country. Please send me that message either by phone call today at the end, bottom of the program, or you send me a WhatsApp message. Let me know what number, what channel number ABC is in the country from where you watch. So please, let's do that. Let me see who is joining here. Asiche Mudama, Andrew Mawo, Tekwe, Tega Clinton, Akwaya Local Government, Felicia, Info, watching from Maryland. Thank you. Walter Stanley. I see you, sir. I see Gary House. Okay, I see also Hannah Vine. Welcome, Secretary. Thank you. I see also Teddy Passover watching from Nicosia. Where is Nicosia? I don't know where that is. Okay, Billy Bones, I see you. I see also can't pronounce the last name there, but thank you for joining. See F.S. I see Joy. Say excellent. Ambe Julius, thanks for joining. Desmond Elliott is always here. Mambo Pena, I see you. I see also Alexandro South, watching from South Africa. Wonderful. I see also Princess JNF. Okay. Chenwi Elvis, ladies and gentlemen, hit your share button as you join, and while you do so, let me take you straight into this broadcast with some preliminary information or declarations before we get down to the rebroadcast of the day, So ladies and gentlemen, please, again, I want to thank you for joining the broadcast today. It is important I remind you of what took place within the last 2 days. That is talking about Saturday and Sunday. On Saturday, we had a continuation of the Amber War Drive that was launched a week ago by the president himself, Dr. Samuel Ekome Sako. Yesterday and Saturday, we continued with that exercise. Remember, the idea is to take it county to county until all the 13 Amazonian counties are exhausted in their pockets, filled with dollars with which to prosecute this revolution in Amazonia, the war that French Cameroon Paul Biya declared upon us. It is very, very interesting what happened within the last 2 days, talking about Saturday and Sunday. On Saturday, we had Manu Amber Drive. And contrary to what our detractors and the so-called blacklegs out there would think, they thought it was going to be a failure, that nobody in Manu would perhaps put in a dime to support this crusade against French Cameroon. But unfortunately for them, they had very bad news, very, very bad news. The Manu community, Manu County, was able to raise over $50,000 on a single day, for this project to prosecute the war in Manu. And we heard the news coming out of Manu yesterday, of course, with the death, whatsoever happened to him, the death of Manfé Mayor. We'll learn about that. I think Manfé is resolute in spite of the divisions there. Manu is resolute. Manfé is resolute that we must take back our country and take back our freedoms and liberties from the colonial master east of the Mongol. So Manu came out in their numbers on Saturday and raised thousands, ladies and gentlemen, thousands of dollars. That is possibly over 35 million CFA francs, with which to begin the prosecution of this war in Manu County. We want to say thank you for all the Manu comrades out there who poured in that town hall in their numbers, and those who called in to put forth their donations. It wouldn't surprise you that even from ground zero, people were calling in anonymously to make their donations for Manu. It was the same thing yesterday for Bui County, where the people in Bui, I think I saw at the last count in that town hall meeting yesterday with Bui County, at the last count there were 197 people in that town hall, a little more than what Manu had on Saturday. 197 people in that town hall yesterday, and of course there were also those who joined by way of ABC. And when I say 197, I am talking about those who were actually in the Zoom town hall, in the Zoom War Drive. And hundreds were also watching by way of ABC live across the globe. And others called in to make their drafts and to make their contributions. And by the end of the day, Bui was able to raise over $30,000 within 2 hours, ladies and gentlemen, within 2 hours. That was yesterday. Now, the exercise continues for the rest of the counties until we have exhausted all of the 13 counties. So we are not done yet, and we are sending a message to La République du Cameroon, fellow Ambazonians, that we haven't started yet to prosecute this war. We see them going around talking reconstruction and trying to send a message to the international community that the war is over. They have won. You can guess why I laugh. The war is only about to start, ladies and gentlemen. The war is only just about to start. The war is only just about to start. We can assure La République du Cameroon that Ambazonians are resolved more than ever before to pay for this war. And within the last 2 weeks, we have seen it raising over $350,000 in a day, and in a matter of hours. And within 2 days, yesterday, they raised another close to $100,000, adding to the $350,000. I can assure you, my trip to Boya was a child's play compared to what is going to happen throughout. By the time this fundraiser is over, my trip to Boya would have been a child's play, because I am very sure by the time this war draft exercise is over, we would have raised millions in dollars to go after Paul Biya and French Cameroon and the French Cameroon regime that kills and maims and rape Ambazonians in their own territory. So we can assure La République we are coming. We have more hurricanes coming your way. Do not go about talking reconstruction thinking that this war is over. But before I leave this subject, I want to appreciate every Ambazonian out there, you from Manu, you from Bue. And the challenge now lies with you in the Meme, in Mezam, in Ngoke Tunjia, in the Kupe Manegubai, in Libialan, in Fako, in Menchum, in Donga Manchum, every other county that is still left out there to conduct the draft. The challenge is yours now. Coming weekend, we shall be having 2 more counties doing the same thing. It is left for you to reach out to the communities around you. Now, remember, it doesn't have to be, it is not restricted to people coming from your community. Wherever you want to invite people to join you in your county draft, all the money comes to you, to your county, and you decide how you spend that money. Let me say something here. Ladies and gentlemen. At the end of the day, there are people who will demand accounting for all these funds that are being raised. There are people, including myself, who will demand an accounting for all these funds that are being raised. We must make sure my trip to Boya kind of expenses do not take place here, because Ambazonians will demand from the counties, from the LGAs, from the NSC, and from this interim government, of course, to know how the funds were used. So we are challenging every county and every LGA, including the interim government out there, to make sure that an eye is put on every dime that is released out there for any mission. The idea that we had with my trip to Boya, where we release funds to individual middlemen to go and squander it, we must not allow it to happen this time. Those funds must go for projects whose exercises we must see with our eyes. We must see those projects literally being executed with these funds. Because if they are not being seen Ambazonians will demand to know where the money went to. And so that is a challenge. It is one thing to raise all these funds. It is another thing to properly implement their usage. But again, I challenge all of you counties that are still remaining out there. Manu is done. Bui is done. Meme, Fako, Kope, Manenguba, Indian, Menchum, Donga Manchum, Mantung, Mezam, Ngo Ketunja, you are all still left out there. Of course, the BLM is also left out there. The challenge is yours to put money in your pockets with which to prosecute this war in your county. We must thank God for this county by county idea. It is what is saving us, and one thing I know is that our detractors are hitting their heads on the wall, pulling their hair out because of what's happening. You know, in the Bible there are some two terms called Pharisees and Sadducees. You know what Pharisee, the word Pharisee really means? It means far to see, far to see. You know, something is happening, something good is happening, and they are too distant to see the good things happening. You know, when something good is happening to you and somebody just doesn't want to acknowledge it, doesn't want to see it, we'll call them Pharisees. Then you have the Sadducees among us. The Sadducees among us are those who are too sad when good things are happening to you. They grumble, they murmur, they gossip, they undermine it. They say, oh, he should have done better. They can do better. Those are the Sadducees. They have long faces when your county, your LGA is raising more money. Those are the black legs out there. But listen, we have only begun. We have just begun, ladies and gentlemen. We have just begun. All the black legs and all the infiltrators and detractors, including La République du Cameroon, they are hitting their heads on the wall. They are hitting their heads on the wall, and they are holding meeting upon meeting. But let me assure them, nothing is going to stop this move. County by county, LGA by LGA, nothing will stop them from fully prosecuting this war to the end and taking over the various counties and LGAs from colonial hegemony. Yes, nothing will stop them. And now let me take you, ladies and gentlemen, to another item very, very important here. Now you saw the announcement last week coming from the United Nations Development Program resident representative in Yaoundé, announcing their partnership, or La République du Cameroon's partnership with the UNDP. Now remember, the UNDP is an arm of the United Nations. It's an arm of the United Nations. So last week you saw the press conference in which the UNDP resident representative in La République du Cameroon capital Yaoundé announced a partnership with La République du Cameroon to go ahead and start reconstruction, they say, in our territory, Ambazonia. To me, it just appears that they don't know what they are talking about. It doesn't appear like they know that we are still in war. However, the interim government has sent out an official message to the United Nations Secretary General, to the United Nations Development Program Director, to the United Nations Development Program Director in Yaoundé, or resident representative in Yaoundé. We have also sent out the same statement to the United Nations General Representative or Director in all of Cameroon, for all of Cameroon, and our statement is unambiguous. The statement is unambiguous. The statement is that there can be no reconstruction going on anywhere in Amazonian territory in the midst of war. That is a firm and unambiguous statement that was sent out to the UN Development Program. And also, I would also like to disclose, we have had talks with some of these officials over last week, and we are very, very unambiguous on the stance of this interim government as far as this reconstruction thing is concerned. Our position is that the Swiss initiative is still going on. If anything should be going on now, it should be the place of the United Nations and its agencies, including the United Nations Development Program, putting pressure on French Cameroon to at least come to table in the Swiss initiative, failing which there can be no talks of reconstruction anywhere in the territory that is called the Federal Republic of Amazonia. And so we have assured the UN that not a single stone shall be erected, ladies and gentlemen. Not a single stone shall be erected in Amazonia without a mediated settlement over the conflict. That is the message we have passed to the United Nations. That is the message we have passed to the United Nations and its agencies in New York and in Yaoundé. And our stand is resolute. Our stand is resolute. We look for a mediation. And then after a mediation, at a mediation, we will talk about reconstruction, and not just reconstruction, but reparations also. That's how to end a war and look for lasting peace. You sit down, you discuss, you negotiate, and then arrive at resolutions. Resolutions include the type of reconstruction and the kind of an amount of reparations that should be paid out to the victims of this useless and senseless war. So, ladies and gentlemen, we want all of you, especially on Ground Zero and across the globe, to know that we at this interim government, we are not compromising with this so-called reconstruction. And we are very, very troubled and ashamed of the role that the United Nations is trying to play in this conflict. In this conflict, they are essentially inserting themselves as accomplices with La République du Cameroon over all the killings and the murders taking place in the territory called the Southern Cameroons. We want to sound this as clear as we can. The United Nations, by virtue of going into partner with a criminal regime that kills thousands of innocent people, by going into partner with them, they are essentially inserting themselves as accomplices in this war against Amazonia. We will not accept this form of complicity. We will not accept it. And to the next item on the agenda here, ladies and gentlemen, this is also very, very important. This is very, very important here. I am talking about the so-called announced plot to construct or to give autonomy to the to the Victoria Seaport, as we learned in an announcement, a decree indeed, that was signed last week by, guess who, of course? Paul Biya, the president of French Cameroon. It is interesting that that country lives, the people lives with a regime that every good gift comes from the president. Every good gift comes from the president. They sent diapers out to assist people. The president gave it. They sent out face masks to help people with COVID-19. The president gave it. They sent out $2 to assist somebody. The president gave it. Everything in that country is owned by Mr. President. The president, His Excellency, His Excellency. What a farce and what a fraud that it is. I have said here before, I hate addressing any president, even including our own president, as His Excellency. I don't think any African leader merits it. The people who merit it, you don't hear them taking those titles. I have never heard anybody addressing Mr. Trump as Your Excellency, Mr. Trump. I have not heard anybody addressing Boris Johnson, Your Excellency, Boris Johnson. I have not heard anybody addressing the Canadian president or the French president. And all. I think I've heard of the French president, actually. Of course, that's not strange that you will hear the French president announced as son excellence. But in the real democratic world, ladies and gentlemen, you don't hear any president being addressed as Your Excellency or His Excellency, because I really don't think there is any His Excellency or Your Excellency anywhere. Not in Africa. Not in Africa. They are horrible dictators and murderers out there. They care less about their own people, and I am amazed that their own people address them. Of course, they are only the lackeys and the fraudsters who surround them, who go about with all those titles. But listen, ladies and gentlemen, what happened? The announcement about the reconstruction in Victoria. The announcement about the reconstruction in Victoria. If you do not know, this is what is happening. The announcement and the operation of the port in Victoria is going to be the end, the completion of the total assimilation. Listen to me very carefully, and you will quote me tomorrow that I said it if it happens the way, if things go down, if we do not win this war, you will quote me. You will quote me that I said it. The announcement of the opening of the port in Limbe with sovereign authority over Douala and the rest, or independence over Douala and Kribi. It is the end, their plotted end of the assimilation, completion of the assimilation of the southern Cameroons as they plan it. This is what is going to happen. They are going to actually get that port in Victoria running. But guess what? Which ships are going to anchor in that seaport, are going to land in that seaport? They are the ones to determine what ships and on what occasion lands in Victoria. So in other words, they can actually say, yes, the port has gone operational. But would any ships of importance land there, anchor there? That is the second question. The second thing is this. The managers, the directors, and the senior staff, they are all going to be francophones. Francophones. What they have done in Sonora, in Victoria, the same thing is going to happen with that port authority in Victoria. They will complete the francophonization of Victoria with more workers in that port authority being francophones. So you will have an inpouring of more francophone workers into Victoria to complete, ladies and gentlemen, to complete the majority of the residents in Victoria being francophones. Yes, that is what is going to happen. And that is the reason why they announced the autonomy of that port in Victoria. A Southern Cameroonian cannot be the manager, and even if a Southern Cameroonian is the manager, he is answerable only to Yaoundé. He is not answerable to anyone in Boya? Nothing. So that is what is coming. That is what lies ahead. It is a ploy to bring in more Francophones into the city of Victoria. Watch my words, ladies and gentlemen. If we lost this war, this is exactly what you are going to see happen. Victoria, Tiko, Mutengene, Boya will be flooded with Francophones with the coming of that port, if allowed to go on. Now, one more angle I'd like to attach to this. We have learned that many Francophones out there in the southern zone, even in the northern zone, they are rushing to sell their properties and to sell their lands. We at the interim government, we are passing out a warning. A warning. Nobody, if you are a wise person, do not buy any piece of land. Do not buy any piece of land. That is a warning we bring to you, because any piece of land out there that was bought by any official, by anybody in a fraudulent way, or using their powers and authority to grab land from indigents of the southern Cameroons, they shall be held accountable. They shall be held accountable for those pieces of property. And so if you go and buy land from any authority out there, you may be doing disservice. You may be doing disservice to yourself, because every piece of land that has been bought in the southern Cameroons and Bazonia by these Francophone fraudulent officials shall be accounted for. And if you rush and buy it, you buy it at your own risk. You rush and you buy it at your own risk. Every piece of property, piece of real estate that has been purchased by these fraudulent colonial governors, DOs in the southern Cameroons, ladies and gentlemen, listen to me, they shall all be accounted for when everything is said and done, when this war must have been over. So it was important I remind you this. And last but not the least, what you'll find on your screen is the interim government declaring a total lockdown in view of the coming 20th, so-called 20th May celebration that the colonial regime in Yaoundé impose upon us. We have since banned the celebration of that particular day in our territory. This one, we are not banning it, we are only reminding you of the need not even to think about it, because it doesn't exist. 20th May doesn't exist anymore in our vocabulary, in our history. It was a colonial day that was forced upon us, blindfolded us about some reunification that we had with them. No, there was no reunification, ladies and gentlemen. There had to be a unification before reunification. We never were united with French Cameroon, and so there was no reunification, or there is no reunification. That is the case. That is the point. And so the interim government is declaring a complete shutdown of Ambazonia beginning May the 18th through May 20th. So May the 18th, which is a Monday, shall be observed as our regular ghost town day, but this one a little bit more serious. And then the 19th, which is a Tuesday, will be complete shutdown. 20th, which is so-called their national day, supposed to be also another complete shutdown day. And then the 21st of May, life gets back to normal in our territory. We encourage French Cameroon to go out and celebrate their National Day, which is 1st of January every year. Let them forget about 20th May. We have nothing in common with them to be talking about 20th May. So please, 20th May, ladies and gentlemen, is a national lockdown day. 20th May is a national lockdown day. So, begin to make your preparations. Make your preparations for a lockdown. You need to do shopping. Go ahead and do your shopping. Go ahead, do your shopping for 20th May lockdown that begins on the 18th, Monday the 18th. Go ahead, start preparing. Buy enough food as you can. Buy enough water as you can. Buy enough drinks if need be. Whatever you need to buy and store at home in preparation for these lockdown days. Please go ahead. So again, lockdown, lockdown. Ladies and gentlemen, on ground zero, beginning 18 through to the 20th. 3 days, but Monday is a regular ghost town. 19, total shutdown. 20th May, total shutdown. Life gets back on the 21st, which is a Thursday. Ladies and gentlemen, I am going to take a short break out, and when I come back, when I return, I will bring to you my special guest of the day. A very, very important guest, the first Cameroonian, and I mean French Cameroonian, who has sued Paul Biya. Ladies and gentlemen, listen to me. I didn't say he sued Cameroon or French Cameroon. He has sued Paul Biya, Paul Atanganji, and others. The first French Cameroonian, even among Ambazonians, this guy is the first person to sue Paul Biya and his regime at the International Court of Justice. So when I come back, the interview starts. Please stay tuned.
You need a financial instrument that provides a hedge against inflation, 100% guarantees that you will not lose your money, has tax-free growth and distribution, the ability to take an interest-free loan, avoids probate, provides creditor protection, guarantees your family that your income will be replaced should you die, helps you protect yourself financially against chronic, critical, and terminal illness, and of course allows you to take money anytime for any reason at any age without a tax penalty. You need only as little as $50 to invest per month. Contact Irene Fombo, tel 513-5014-177, or send an email to irenenpmsn@gmail.com.
Are you tired of going from dealership to dealership looking for that used car that perfectly fits both your lifestyle and your budget? Are you bored with the same old tactics, the same old styles, and the same old disappointments when you don't find exactly what you want? Are you frustrated because of bad credit or tired of being rejected of in-house financing? Are you tired of going from garage to garage for a car? How about that filthy old car that you used to drive? Are you done? Welcome to the new experience. Barico Auto Sales has sold and financed cars to over 50,000 people across the country. Our exclusive in-house financing model allows us to provide flexible options for all. Enjoy low rates, free pickup, and award-winning customer service. Reserve today. Barico Auto helps make car renting easy and seamless for all of our customers. Our financing options allow you to shop our vehicle inventory for the exact used car, truck, or van that best fits your needs. Car selection and customer satisfaction are of great importance to us. We provide the best mechanical repairs, and our services take just minutes. Detail your car with us and get out of that filthy old smell and into something sweet. We will even do your oil change at the lowest rate. And please do not forget that with Barrico Auto Sale, you own and drive your car before you even have to pay us. So come on down and visit us and drive away with your new car.
Barrico Autos. Own and drive before you pay. 240-486-4664. www.barricoauto.com.
You need a financial instrument that provides a hedge against inflation, 100% guarantees that you will not lose your money, has tax-free growth and distribution, the ability to take an interest-free loan, avoids probate, provides creditor protection, guarantees your family that your income will be replaced should you die, helps you protect yourself financially against chronic, critical, and terminal illness, and of course allows you to take money anytime for any reason at any age without a tax penalty. You need only as little as $50 to invest per month. Contact Irene Fombo, tel 513-5014-177 or send an email to irenenpmsn@gmail.com.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I bring you my very special guest today, who is joining me all the way from the United Kingdom. Jean-Pierre Dupont is one courageous French Cameroonian who has taken French Cameroon President Paul Biya to the International Criminal Court against war crimes, genocide carried out in the territory that is called the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, of course, former British Southern Cameroons, as it was known then. And I felt it important, necessary to bring him on ABC to explain to us the motivation behind his action. And I guess Jean-Pierre can hear me. Hello, Jean-Pierre. It's a privilege to have you, sir.
Hello, Chris. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you for joining the broadcast today. Jean-Pierre, I will start by asking you, what was your motivation, sir? What was your motivation in, first of all, make the point clear. Who have you sued at the International Criminal Court? Is it Paul Biya or Paul Biya and his government?
No, I have actually sued Paul Biya as an individual with his colleagues, namely people like Atanganji or his cabinet, but in their capacity as individuals and their capacity as what I call a warlord. You have to look at the draft very carefully because since you are known before, a lot of people have been writing to me, wondering how can an individual bring the government to justice. Now, there are just a distinction we have to make. We have the International Court of Justice, which is part of the United Nations.
Right.
They are based in Den Haag. Or you also have International Criminal Court, which are two different bodies. Now, the International Court of Justice function solely is that of resolving litigation between countries, litigation of dispute. Now, we have International Criminal Court founded in 1998, which statute was July 1998. And that court deals with violation, what we call serious crime, which involve, there are three categories of them. We have genocide, war crimes, and crimes against humanity.
Right.
And they deal with those. Now, as an individual, you cannot sue a court, a corporation, a political party, or a corporation or a government. But what I've done to use some gateway or some loophole so that my lawsuit can be deemed receivable was to actually sue Paul Biya and his entourage in their capacity as a human being, as an individual, but also because what they are doing in Ambazonia is a part of policy. So the crime committed there is part of their political program.
Right.
And that's how my lawsuit was deemed receivable.
So you have sued Paul Biya in his capacity as president, an individual, and you have also sued. Yes. Now, who are the other defendants along Paul? Because I understand that I think Paul Atanganji and some are members, right?
The Minister of Defense is there. Many of his advisors are there. What we have to distinguish when it comes to Cameroonian army, you have what we call a regular army. There are about 40,000 individuals. And then we have something called B. These are 6,500 people. But this will be like a private militia. They take their orders from the presidency. Those are the people who have been sent to the northwest and to the southwest. They are very highly equipped. They take their orders from the presidency and the presidency only. We were able to gather those facts. There are people within the system who gave us information anonymously. We're not going to name them here, but that was very, very helpful in us achieving the.
When you are suing Paul Biya, his Minister of Defense, his Minister of Territorial Administration, you are essentially suing his government. Isn't that the way the ICC would look at that?
No, they didn't. I mean, if they look at it the way you are describing, my lawsuit wouldn't have been deemed receivable. That happened. I sued them back in March. They wrote to me, they are satisfied. They wrote back to those people I cited. Yes, they have function that you mentioned, but I didn't sue them in that capacity. What I sued them, because you see, you have to look at international structure of Southern Cameroon. I hope we're going to talk about that. But we look at those conspirations and then we sue those people as individuals, not in their capacity as a minister. They have committed act there. We have proof evidence of that, and we sue them solely. We don't care what position they had in the company. Why we care they are individuals, being identified as such, having committed those horrible crimes.
Now, you will understand that there are so many people out there wondering of what interest this is to you, considering that you are Francophone Cameroonian. There are those who actually believe you're just looking for some free and cheap publicity for yourself. What would you say to those people? What are your interests in this matter, being that you are...
Not at all. I myself am from Adamawa, and I belong to the tribe called the Tika.
You are from Adamawa, not from the western region of Cameroon?
No. I'm from Onkin, Adamawa in Cameroon, which is part of the northern part of Cameroon.
Okay.
And my tribe is called the Tika, and we have them in Banso, we have them in Jakiri, we have them in Dok, Kambe, we even have them in Bamenda. But those are not my solo motivation. Like any other Francophone, I was quite ignorant of the case because the history that we were taught said different things. But in 1987, I arrived in London as an exchange student under Erasmus scheme, attended London School of Economics. And I met in 8 months, Carrington, London, for those who know London. There was a gentleman there called Albert Mouton. He was writing a book called The Case for the Southern Cameroon.
Right.
As we were gathering material, I discovered a lot of things. For instance, I discovered that we gained independence 1st of January 1960. But we only have what they call the unification in October 1961. Now, my first question was, what happened to the Anglophone during that period? During the period that we gained independence. And then I discovered that the Anglophone had their own prime minister, Mr. Ndele. He wanted to have a country of his own. And I went further doing researches. And then I found out that the Anglophone were betrayed by first United Nations and then England. Because what we were told was that there was a referendum. And that from that referendum, they choose. But then I discovered that was part of lie because it wasn't actually a referendum, it was a plebiscite. Because in international law, plebiscite and referendum are not exactly the same.
Yeah, there are two different things.
Exactly. But I also met somebody who was advisor to the late Tafawa Balewa.
Tafawa Balewa, yes.
So one of his advisor is native of northern part of Cameroon, but the place where he comes from has been attached to Nigeria.
Now, for the education of our audience, Tafawa Balewa was the first president of Nigeria.
First prime minister. Prime minister.
Yes, he was. I think he was he was the first president of Nigeria. Yes.
Yeah, the only prime minister actually they had. So so this advisor of his came from the Adamawa, like myself. Now the place where he came from is actually attached to Nigeria, as you know, the place basic. When the Southern Cameroon joined the Republic of Cameroon, that other bit called Northern Nigeria actually chose the Federation of Nigeria. So you working in the case of looking how they could have a say whether they want to rejoin Cameroon. I mean, the opposite process of you guys or what you guys are doing. Now, I then discovered a lot of things alongside that we had a reunification 1972 exactly because that was the time the oil was discovered at you guys' end. So those are the questions that came about, and then I went on doing researches. Now, my lawsuit is not a matter of publicity. It's a concern as a human being. When we see atrocity committing there, I am not standing in politics. I'm not taking part. What I'm saying is, we need to sit down as civilized people and start talking to each other. Because even though this conflict is happening over there, there are a lot of repercussions in the Cameroon, in the francophone part of the country. Now, we talk, and I'm not the only one. Many francophone are thinking that we need to sit down with you guys, have a civilized discussion. My preference, if you ask me, my personal preference would be federalist, meaning you do your own things and we do our own thing. We only come together and do what we are best at doing together. Now, if the majority of your people, whatever process you choose to ask them, if they choose that you want to go your own way, so be it. But we can still remain friends and brothers, have international relations like look at former Czechoslovakia. When they are on par, they are still having cooperation, they exchange students, they exchange ambassadors. So those are the things we can do. But my encouragement, my concern is that there should be a way of sitting down and talking. At least start there. Nobody knows.
We're going to come back to that, but if I may ask you, have you spoken to anybody in the circle of power in Cameroon over this your lawsuit, or has any of them attempted contacting you to ask you why you are doing this?
Well, two things. The first one was that when this thing started 3 or 4 years ago, by the cooperative, what I would call cooperative revendication, there were a lot of people saying that, look, why don't you hear these people out? People doing that, the official, were doing it anonymously because they don't want to lose their place, they are afraid of the petition and so on. But after doing this, I have been receiving a lot of threats. A lot of people have been threatening me, saying, how do you do that and so on.
Where are these threats coming from? From French Cameroon citizens?
French Cameroon citizens, but you bet that they will not come and say who they are. But we suspect that these are the immediate inner circle of power. Some of them have been offered money in the past because this is not my first attempt to do that. 2 years ago, I did the same attempt, but my lawsuit was rejected because it wasn't taken into account some criteria of the Rome Statute.
Okay.
So it was rejected.
Who rejected that? The ICC rejected it at first?
Yes, there's somebody called the Office of the Prosecution. Now, when you start them and you bring a lawsuit in their jargon, it's called communication to the ICC court. So in that communication, which in plain language simply means that you are bringing a lawsuit, The reason why they rejected that in the first instance was the nature of the formulation. The way I formulated the lawsuit was actually outside the Rome Statute criteria.
Okay. Again, we'll come back to that. Let's get back to talking about the foundation of days. So you are getting threats from faceless people. Are they asking you, why are you carrying out this lawsuit that essentially support the Amazonian cause? Or what are they saying?
Well, they are giving me names, calling me names, promised me well, this and so will happen to you and so on. Who will write to the British government to say that you live there fraudulently. They don't even know my status. They don't know my immigration status, but they just assume. And some are saying that I'm using an alias, and that's not my real name. So I wouldn't want to go in and start explaining whatever. But people who know me know that that's my real name, and my motivation are that we have to bring the end of this one way or another. But we can only do it by the means, and that's what I've been saying from day one. I've been writing to everyone. We have gone to stage where any francophone behaving the way I am is an enemy. It's a traitor to the nation.
Now, let's get back to the lawsuit itself. You are suing Paul Biya, Paul Atanganji, the defense minister, at the ICC. And it's interesting to know that first the lawsuit was rejected, and then you have now successfully filed it, and they accepted it. And when was this done, sir?
That was done in March, middle of March, following the massacre in Gap. I was lucky enough to be given some evidence, images, audio, by some NGO working in the field. We had some direct communication with people, victims, horrible images, children, some of them under 3 months old, very, very shocking. And we also were able to get a communication, to intercept communication between those giving orders and the soldiers on the ground.
You were able to intercept communications between those giving orders and the soldiers on the ground.
On the ground.
Now you are referring to between Yaoundé and the incident in Garbo.
That's correct. The interception was given to us by NGO, which we're not going to name here, but those things have been given to ICC, and I think that is one of the reason why our lawsuit was deemed receivable. But
now, was that the only information you were able to get as intercepted, or you have other information other than Garbo that you were able to intercept?
Yeah, prior to Garbo, we had all that we intercepted from Yaoundé to somebody very highly placed that was communicating with officer in the ground. So we had those. We also had a report of people that run away, the soldiers that deserted, and order were given to sanction them and persecute them. We have evidence that a lot of soldiers have deserted. Some of them are in Nigeria. These are the people belonging to the regular army of Cameroon who have run away. They have also sent some evidence that was very, very helpful towards constituting that lawsuit. But when Gabo came, we were already in position of over 2,000 evidence material.
So what do you think, what did the ICC give as reason for the rejection of the file at the first filing? Yeah, and do you think that the Garbo incident now made them to accept the file?
Well, the first one, the rejection happened 2 years ago. The reason that this occurred was that The reason why we put there, what we put there as as a main cause of our lawsuit was, according to them, outside the criteria of the Rome Statute.
Okay.
So whatever lawsuit you bring there has to be within those parameters. So we have two things. We have to have an element of crime against humanity. We have to have an element of either one of those, war crime or genocide. Now,
Okay.
the first lawsuit we brought 2 years ago was focusing on the illegitimacy of the regime and the issue that any act that were carrying out in southern Cameroon was illegal because they were not meant to be there in the first place. So ICC told us that that was not their competence. It wasn't for them to interfere to say whether the Cameroon government was there legally or illegally. That was not what they were there to do. So that they were not competent to statute at that. So we had to go back and reformulate our lawsuit, and it happened, and this time it was successful.
There are arguments out there, and I am sure you read one by somebody that you know so well. I'm talking about Barrister Tumasan Martin. He has been arguing that because Cameroon is not a party to the Rome Treaty, you still don't have jurisdiction, or the ICC still don't have jurisdiction over your case. But you have successfully filed this case, and the ICC has accepted it. Do you think hearing will actually go on?
Hearing will go on. The ICC, even though it's an international court, behaves exactly like any other court. If I was to bring a lawsuit against you in the United States, you will be informed by the court that a certain Jean-Pierre Dupont is bringing a lawsuit against you.
Right.
So that's what I've done to the authority. When they told me that my lawsuit was receivable, they also wrote to me telling me that we have informed the people against whom you make allegations.
Oh, the ICC International Criminal Court has actually now written to you that the parties have been duly informed.
And yes, they're written to me saying that the party have been informed of an allegation. They call it allegation because the simple fact of accusing someone of bringing a lawsuit against them does not necessarily mean that they are at fault of they've done anything wrong.
Of course, yes.
That's right. So they informed me that, look, these people, this individual you brought allegation against, are being duly informed. Now, the problem is that no one knew that I was the one behind that lawsuit till I gave an interview to a Cameroon television. Now, people then knew that there was a case against them at the ICC. What Yaoundé then tried to do to name some low-class, low-grade soldier as a scapegoat so that they will get away. And then I wrote to them, I said, look, these people they are showing you are not the one I'm after.
The Cameroon government, I just want to make sure that I'm getting you right here. The Cameroon government has now written to the ICC with some names of some low-class military officers as the ones that should go to the ICC. Is that what you are saying?
Is what I'm saying? But these soldiers have been suspended, removed from the theater of operation, and sent back to Yaoundé in attempt to fool the ICC into believing that these individuals were acting on their own zealous manner and they were not instructed to do so, and therefore they've been punished accordingly so that the case should be put at arrest. But we wrote back to them saying that, look, this is a game, it's a charade. There are people giving orders. We have evidence that these decisions are taken in a high position within the presidency because the element going there belong to a private militia of the president.
So you actually are very confident that French Cameroon is actually responding to your case.
We are very responding. We have been informed. We have people within the system giving us information. And we saw, everyone knows that if you have people in the ground, they will tell you some of this military have been suspended, removed from the theater of operation, and sent back to Yaoundé and publicly blamed. And even some journalists are saying, "Oh, these are military who went out of hands. They were never instructed to do what they did. Those initiatives were carrying from their own initiative and so on."
Now, what do you say? What do you say of those who say Jean-Pierre Dupont, what he is trying to do is to take away from Amazonians the lawsuit that Amazonians are already on the way of firing against French Cameroon at the ACC?
Well, first of all, I have had some conversation with you. I am an advocate of their cause because I told you about the case for Southern Cameroon. I think that the Anglophones were misled into this agreement. When they went to Fumban, Aijo was surrounded by the French consular, his French master. Fontra came there with Tandemuna in a good faith in what we call the spirit of gentleman agreement, taking for granted what the other person is saying or thinking that they are in good faith when you look at the history. So that's what happened. So we feel sympathy for them. They can go ahead and make another lawsuit. The fact that we brought in a lawsuit against this government, which wasn't a political stand, that was purely on humanitarian basis. I have children on my own. And when I saw those images, I still remember this little girl, head was gone. You can only see the body. I could only identify that she was a girl by her sex, by gender. If you are the dad, a parent, like I am, this is very, very shocking. So my stand is only on humanitarian, even though I have sympathy for the cause that they are defending. Because whether it's federalists, whether they choose to go their own path, who will always remember, we can come there legally as anyone will go in the country. I live in the United Kingdom as an immigrant. I don't see an issue with me living in Amazonia as an immigrant, abiding to the law of that place. And so my point is not to sabotage any initiative that they are doing. In fact, if they are doing that, I will be very, very happy to assist in whatever capacity I'm able to do.
And you will also be open-minded if some Amazonian lawyers come to you and say, "Hey, Jean-Pierre, we'd like to work with you and assist you pro bono on this case."
I am open to any suggestion. You are mentioning Tumanza, the lawyer, who is my friend. I've not seen him for 17 years. Exactly. Martin, we go back a long way. These are there are many names I can throw you like that. Now, he was saying yesterday what you just mentioned. He has to get the facts right. Because do not bring confusion. We have International Court of Justice, part of the United Nations system, based in Holland. But we also have ICC, also based in Holland. But they are not doing the same thing. One is dealing with litigation between states, dispute between states, which is ICG. The ICC is dealing with crime against humanity committed by individuals, genocide, and act of war. Cameroon, yes, it's not a party state. But because he was writing that yesterday, I'm trying to put him right. Cameroon signed the Rome Statute 17th of July 1998. You can check it up in Google. But Cameroon hasn't ratified. Right. For ratification was July the 1st, 2002. So do not miss, even in the United States where you are, they also signed the Rome Statute, but they never ratified. So when you have what we call the signatory state, which means you've signed the treaty.
So signing it means ratifying it?
No, it's not the same. It's not the same. Yeah, we can sign it. It means in juridical language, jargon, it means that you are acknowledging it. You are agreeing with it. Yes. You are applying to its principle. Now, to be part of it, that's why we say signatory state and party state. Now, party state, in French, we say État parti or pays parti. The party state means you have actually ratified the treaty. The ratification happened 1st of July 2002. But signature happened on the 17th of July 1998. Cameroon did sign it. We see when bringing forward my lawsuit, we used the precedent of Ivory Coast because Ivory Coast was not party state. They only signed the stages, but it's only in 2013 because the candidate, their president, invited them in, even though you are only signatory and you are not party state because you haven't actually ratified. Somebody within the country can call in the ICC if there are evidence. There are hard evidence of crime against humanity, genocide, and war crime. But also, the United Nations Security Council can give an injunction to ICC to start an investigation, even if the country is not part of, it's not what we call the state party. You can have a precedent of what happened in Afghanistan. You can take the case of Sudan. Sudan wasn't party state. Or you can even take Libya. And Cote d'Ivoire only joined recently, but they did sign it in Cameroon, but they didn't ratify. So in law, domestic law and international law, you will use precedent because the same set of facts will bring the same court out, law outcome.
Otherwise, let me ask you this question. If Southern Cameroonians, Ambazonians were suing Paul Biya and his government at the ICC, they would be talking about reparations, I guess. You as an individual suing Paul Biya and his regime cronies, what are you looking to get from the ICC?
I'm not looking to get anything from them. What I'm looking to get, I want to get them prosecuted. And we don't want this to happen again. We are talking about Ambazonia. This could have been in Gambia. It could have been in Nigeria. We tried to do the same thing for Ivory Coast. When this guy came into power, removing Gbagbo, there were 3,000 people killed in the Dupont region, the Way people. Yes. I'm not an Ivorian. I have no interest there. But I was among the petitioners. And we are still doing that. And there's one of them hiding in France, Sorogium. We have successfully spoken to some judge, and they will bring him to justice. So my interest is that of humankind. We cannot get away in nowadays and age if you go ahead behaving the way people are behaving, touching houses where you have a woman 80 years old in some case, they were told, and killing people for political purpose. We can't do that. I mean, whoever do things like that, we have to know that you can't get away with it. Sooner or later, you will have to catch up with you. There will be people like myself, but other people as well. We haven't only done that in Ambazonia. We've done it in many other places.
Okay, that is very interesting. Now, let me take you back to the whole Ambazonian cause. You have said that you sympathize with the Ambazonian cause and you don't care you don't care if they take their country back. Tell me, what are other Francophone Cameroonians, La République du Cameroon citizens, thinking about what you are doing, thinking about your sympathies for the Southern Cameroon cause? What are you hearing from them?
You have different stands. You have those who are ignorant, who don't know the fact. Now you have those who are aware. There's a friend of mine called Jean-Marc Sobo. He's a journalist, lives in Canada.
Yeah.
Yes. I've never met him in my entire life. We met him on Facebook, and he shared the views that I'm sharing. We started this conversation back in 2010. He was telling me, look, these people, they had their own parliament. They had their own member elected. And we came in, fooled them, tried to make them become Francophone. I mean, I speak English, as you see, but I don't want an Anglophone to be a Francophone. You see, I want Anglophone to remain Anglophone, to have their own specificity. You mentioned Thomas, who is a friend of mine. I've never asked him, I communicate with him in English. I've never asked him to become a Francophone. I want him to be what he is, and we are friends. I'm different from him, and he's different from me. So the case you guys are bringing, we've been encouraging. Last year, I heard about negotiations starting in Switzerland, and I was very happy about that. We thought that at least we're going to put an end once and for all. I mean, you can't expect Francophone to live peacefully with what is going on there, because time to time there are action. We have relatives there, we have friends there. You see, and when they burn down is somebody's house, a normal human being will not go to bed happily. So we want this thing to be solved one way or another, but it has to start by.
Yeah, so if I may ask you, I'm sure you are very much aware of the sensibilities among Ambazonians at this hour, especially against Francophones. Ambazonians are very agitated that since this struggle began, Francophones did not open their mouth to say a thing to protest the killings, the brutality, the burning down of towns, villages in Ambazonia. They did not until Camto lost his elections. Then Francophones started saying something. Do you see the agitation among Ambazonians as legitimate against Francophones?
Rightly so. Rightly so. I would have done the same if I was on the issues. What you are saying there, within Francophone, there were people protesting, even before the election that you are referring to. There were people protesting, but these people are in minority. And if you speak the way I'm speaking in Cameroon, they will lock you up for encouragement to terrorism, as they call it. People have been sympathizing. No one will condone, no one within his sense will condone what is happening there, because we've been living together for years. But people like myself, I'm telling you,
very few people have been sympathizing. Maybe, as you said, people like yourself have been sympathizing, but at the same time, we have been very, very vocal against the fact that when this war started, it was basically Francophones, the elite, who came together, put millions together into the hands of Paul Biya to use it in prosecuting this war, in killing Ambazonians, in burning down their towns and their villages, in shutting down schools, shutting down hospitals. And we are still very bitter about the fact that the mainstream, the populace in Francophone never opened their lips.
No, that's not true. That's not true, because if you go within the cycle that where I go, the echo that I have, not only here in London, within the intellect of diaspora abroad, people are not happy about this at all, because we know how it starts.
So unlike you, why are the people in your circle why have they not been very vocal like you?
Do you remember 2 years ago or 3 years ago, there was fundraising for the Ambazonian who are in exile in Nigeria, and that money was raised here in London. We take the diaspora and we send that money to Ayaba. Are you aware of that?
No.
We bought it. Okay, this happened. You can find out. Mr. Ayaba, which I don't know personally in life, but there was a great collection, fundraising. I think this was Christmas 2018. Matters were bought, money was given for him because he had the foundation for our brother living in exile in Nigeria. Yeah. We were aware that there were people living in bush, sleeping out. I made a public speech. I will send you a video. I made a speech at that time, condemning, saying that, look, this regime is dividing us with our other brother, creating enmity between Francophone and Anglophone because of their failure. And I can tell you, I'm not going to compare the softness of the misery of the Anglophone with the Francophone, but I can tell you, if you go to Cameroon, you will see the misery where these people have been plunged. But having said so, your case is specific because it has a constitutional issue, the form of state issue, which is actually something to do with the very essence of your existence. And that's why I respect that. Nobody who is honest. I've been telling you, I mean, if you look at my Facebook writing, go back 2010, I've been saying that Anglophone have been failed, they've been lied upon, they've been deceived. I mentioned you, my friend Jean-Marc Sobo, and it's not the only one. There are many people thinking the way I'm thinking, but those voices are not heard. If you start speaking the way I'm speaking and you are in Cameroon, you will be categorized as a traitor. Or traitor against who? Because if Ambazonia is a different country, yeah, let's speak to them. If they choose, I don't know what form you will choose to proceed. If you want to do a referendum, and look at my writings again, I've been saying if there's a referendum, it should only be in Northwest and in Southwest. They should not be asking us because it has nothing to do with us. They will ask you what you want to do with your own life. If you choose to do federalism, which is my preference, I don't want to lie to you. I prefer that way. Proper federalism. You do your things. You run your own affair. We run our own affair. We come together to do matter that we are best at achieving together. That's my preference. Now, if democratically, within you people, the majority of yourself, choose or not, we want to go our own way, and so on, so be it. Because there's nothing that we can do apart from sitting down and talking. Now, if people are genuine, you will recognize that. You will recognize the genuinity. And if you look at my writings again, that I've wrote 5-10 years ago, I was saying, look, if you want to speak to this guy, it should not happen in Yaoundé. It should not happen in Boya. It should happen in a neutral territory. You could go to Nigeria, you could go to Berlin, you could go to Geneva, and so on, and let people sit down and talk like a grown-up and civilized people. So that's my stand.
What do you make of the national dialogue, so-called, that took place in Yaoundé? What do you make of that?
That was the fact. I wrote on my Facebook page. That's nonsense. Because if I want to have a talk with you, I will talk to you. I will not send you my houseboy to come and talk to you. If I'm genuine in talking with you, we talk, and I don't choose the topic upon which we're going to be talking. You see, so that's absolutely nonsense. I don't look at that. You see, I've been writing over the years. When Anglophones were asking for equality, what have they done? They will pick in an Anglophone and they make him a minister. Right. That does not resolve the issue. We were talking the other day about the SDF. I mentioned day 2 months ago when we were at his house, the birth of SDF. Do you know how the SDF came to be about? When they had so-called democracy in Cameroon, Albert Munkon, the author of the case for Southern Cameroon, is the one who brought the idea of SDF. Now, 2 months they told him, look, you are too radical, you are too divisive of figure. We cannot be the one carrying the project. You know, so let's find somebody who is conciliatory, somebody that is not known. That's how they came about to choose John Frundi, because that project started here in London in my very eye. But the case of John Frundi was a member of CPDM. He wanted to represent the CPDM in Bamenda. Yaoundé didn't want him because he was a controversial figure. They didn't know exactly his whereabouts, what he was doing for living. He used to go in Nigeria, was doing small traffic and so on. He wanted to represent CPDM in Bamenda. But because of his bad reputation, they chose Simon P. Ashidi and took over him. And he only accepted to lead the SDF as a revenge against the CPDM, saying, look, you don't want me, they want me somewhere else. So I remember this thing back in London at the home of day 2 months ago. So we've been a critic of this system. There was a meeting called the All Anglophone meeting, asking for things. I think John Poncha was still alive. Yeah. And we were saying, because the Francophone, we were invited to give our opinion. And we were saying, look, this thing is going to go out of hand. When, I think it was 1985 or 1986, they decided to remove the name of, United Republic of Cameroon to call back La République du Cameroon.
Yes.
But I wrote an article in a French newspaper saying, look, these are the germs of civil war. This is the beginning of secession. Because before we became Federal Republic of Cameroon, we were already called La République du Cameroon before you guys came with us. Now, we went into say United Republic of Cameroon, symbolizing the flag with the two states, representing the two people and two countries. Now, that would give some comfort, even though it wasn't genuine. But the moment you go back to the way we were called, right, the appellation that was ours before we came in, tells you that you are not part of the equation. It's like you are married.
But Bian made it so clear in, was it in Geneva or was it in France, when he said, our mission was always to totally integrate them and assimilate them. So the mention of the flag with the 2 stars and the name and so on, the changing of the names, just kind of sync with what Paul Biya has said himself with that interview with what is that guy's name again? Ibrahim Mo, something like that.
Yes, the Sudanese, the guy who have the NGO. I was on a Swedish television 2 years ago, and I was saying, look, Francophone have been dishonest with Anglophone. I remember the University of Yaoundé at the time when it was the only university in the country. Anglophone, we go to school from class 1 all the way to A level. They will come to Yaoundé, they don't speak a word of French, and they will take lecture in French. That is very unfair. So they started, I remember, because a parent of mine was working there, and they were saying, look, this thing is going to start, it's going to get out of hand one day. And then we are there. So I'm telling you all this to tell you that I am aware of the frustration that Southern Cameroon have suffered. And you talk about repression last time. There are a lot of Francophones saying, look, there's nothing wrong about saying, look, we are sorry, we made a mistake. Let's sit down and talk. Maybe some good will come out of it. But we can't just go on about repression because we can't kill everyone. You see, this has never been a solution anywhere on earth. At the end of the day, you have to come back and sit down and talk. But let's do it now before we spare any more blood and human life. And when I'm saying this, I'm not talking to Southern Cameroon. I'm talking to the Cameroon government. Because we don't want to pass over the anger of generation to generation. You kill my dad today, tomorrow my son will kill you, and it goes on like that. And we can't carry on like that. We have to sit down in a way, not in Cameroon, but why talking to people will not kill anybody. And that's why we're saying, I'm not the only one. Many Francophones are thinking like that.
Did you see a group of Francophones like you, who would sit down and say, you know what, let's organize, support what Ambazonians are saying, because we know the truth, we know what they have been through. Let's sit down, not just support them vocally, but even financially. Do you see that happening?
I see that in London. I see that in London. And there are Anglophone here in London. We work together. Some of them are my friends on Facebook. People are disposed to do that. Look, what do you think? Do you think that Southern Cameroon just came out of sky? We've been living together for 60, 70 years. We have relation over there. We know families there. I know the Atabons. We went to school in some case. We study here in London with many. You are talking about Tumanza, the lawyer. He's a friend of mine. You see, we used to eat together. Maybe we go party and end up sleeping in his house.
So are you able, as a personal initiative, to say to Francophones that you know, who think like you, to say, please, let's come together and support these people? Because I like your statement. You would most prefer a federal situation, but you're also disposed to saying, to accepting an independent Southern Cameroons. And either of them, what is important is the relationship, because Ambazonians become a country of their own, an independent country. We're not going to say, hey, Francophones, you don't come to Ambazonia, you don't come to our territory. I think looking at that, looking at the future, just as you have stated, it's very, very important. And I think that is the angle from which people like you, who are supportive of this Ambazonian struggle, can say, please, let's come together, let's support these people. If we work, we will still benefit. If they get whatever we prefer they get, which according to you is federalism, you will still benefit. Are you able to do that?
I did that already before Ayub Tabe got arrested. I wrote to him on his Facebook. He never responded to me. I've written to many senior Ambazonians. I can understand their apprehension. I've done that. I've done that 4 or 5 years ago, and I'm disposed to do it again today. You see, so that's not a problem to me, because these people are our brother. Listen, if I call someone from Senegal, a brother of mine, Senegal is how many countries away from Cameroon? Why am I not going to call somebody from Southern Cameroon a brother just because it's a political dispute? But many people, I'm telling you that, I mean, it will be scoring cheap political point for me to say, oh yes, I'm the only one who's doing that. No, that's not true. People like me, you find a lot of them within the Francophone community. The situation that we are having is the breakage of the communication. We need to establish a path of communication. When I say communication, we don't go into communication by telling somebody that, no, listen, you are on your phone, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
We're not going to give you an inch of territory. The territory is one and indivisible. That's not the way you go into discussion with the people. Because when you go into discussion, you have to make compromise. Compromise means that you have to give and take. You have to let something go for the purpose of something else. Exactly. In economy, we know there's something called opportunity cost. There's something that you lose in order to gain something else. And we look what is priority for you. And since these things happen, it's a distortion of our country. Because if this thing goes on, Cameroon as a country, the way we know it today will not stand. Because it started with the southern Cameroon. Someday the guy with Adama will say, look, maybe we also want to start trying something over here. But if we sit down and we say, look, I've told you, ask me a direct question, I'm giving you a direct answer. Yes, I am disposed. You got my detail. I'm happy to give you some more. I'm disposed to sit down and say, look, let's find a pattern. Because I've been telling my Anglophone brother, I said, look, we have a problem. The problem is Pobia. We need to get rid of this guy and his regime.
Now, let me stop you a little bit there. I differ with you a little bit with that, because I don't think the problem is just with Paul Biya. The problem is partly Paul Biya and the entire Francophone elite. Let me give you another example. Maurice Kamto will not as much as acknowledge anything Ambazonia. He is an elite over there, a political leader, but you not. He doesn't speak like you, doesn't speak your language that you speak right here. So you cannot limit this to Paul Biya, because we see a situation where even if Maurice Kamto were to become their leader, he may even be worse than Paul Biya. Don't you see that?
Well, I cannot speak for Kamto. I'm not his spokesperson. I don't belong to his party. But what I'm telling you about Paul Biya is this man is advised by the French people. One of his strong advisors was a former ambassador to Cameroon, and he was meant to go into retirement more than 20 years ago, but he sat put in Yaoundé, where he's advising him. And this guy is implementing the French policy in Cameroon. That's why it's been enjoying the support of the French government. Now, when you are mentioning political leaders, you have to be very careful, because Cameroon is not a democracy as we enjoy it in the UK or you guys in the United States. You have to make sure somebody will not, because what they are waiting for an opposition leader is to come openly and to say, look, I understand what you are fighting about. And then the next thing they will do, they will target him as a terrorist or an accomplice to terrorists, as they call it. But what I'm telling you, within the intellectual community, within the Cameroonian diaspora, the Francophone that I know, a lot of people are thinking the way I'm thinking. What I'm doing here doesn't mean that I'm condemning the killings.
Don't you think it's a little bit naive to think that Mr. Kamto is speaking as a politician, and should he get to power, he will allow, and let me put it in the mildest terms, he will allow a referendum where Ambazonians should choose either to stay or to go their way? Don't you think he's being a little bit naive to think he can even think about that? I mean, he has said it, that there will be no Ambazonia under his government, under his watch.
What's more, I cannot speak for him. I am a Cameroonian. I speak for myself. I know there are many people speaking the way I'm thinking. And what we want to do is to work toward that target, toward that end. Because talking has never killed anybody. And when you look at, somebody was telling me that we have to take the case to the African Union. And I was saying that will never happen. African Union is not a court. It's a syndicate, or most of them are dictators. And African Union, when it came about in 1963, we had two blocks. One block was called the Morovia block, and the other one was called the Casablanca block. Now, the principle of African Organization Unity, the ancestor of now the African Union, was that they should not allow interference in one another internal affairs.
Correct.
To cover themselves, because the idea came from Ufwe, the former president of Ivory Coast, fighting Nkrumah, because Nkrumah's idea was to make the United States of Africa, and he was interfering in his space to say, look, we'll go and see that. So that's the base of African Union. Now, in the case of Southern Cameroon, we have this stupid concept of inviolability of sovereignty, the integrity, the strength of national integrity territory. But that position does not allow the emergence of subgroup like Southern Cameroon. And international law is looking at it. I think they've changed it in some case. I don't know if it was Katanga or whatever, but that's how you have to look at the aspiration of self-determination of Southern Cameroon. Have they got the point? Do they have a case? As my friend Led Munko used to say, that is it there a case for the Southern Cameroon? Yes, there's a case for Southern Cameroon. Have they been told lie? Yes. But in law, something called judicial review, when you take a decision upon information given to you, it might be fraud or it might be deception, you are entitled to go back and say, look, I need a judicial review because the decision you took was taken under false pretenses. You had wrong information, and now this is what is really happening. Because the way the Cameroon administration is behaving in Southern Cameroon is exactly like a colonial master. That's what happened between Ethiopia and Eritrea. And that's why I say, look, Southern Cameroon has got a case, and we need to sit down and find a way of getting into a civilized and humane solution.
Okay, listen, I am going to open the phone lines for a few callers who may have a question or two for you. But before we do that, I'd like to ask you what you think of Maurice Kamto's political aspirations becoming president of French Cameroon. Do you see that happening?
Well, it's difficult. I can tell you about his program, but I cannot be, because when you look at constitutional arrangement in Cameroon, and as we are talking on air, nobody knows where Paul Biya is. And some people are suspecting that he might not be no more. And his entourage are trying to sort of capture power in lieu. Well, Maurice Kamto had a strong chance to become a president if the institution, if the game was open. But everything in Cameroon is controlled by Paul Biya. I heard you at the beginning of the program, you were saying that anything happening in Cameroon happened on Paul Biya watch. If there's a gift to the population, it's been given by His Excellency. If there's whatever happened, it's done by him. So we are de facto in a dictatorship monarchy style. Now, how do I see Maurice Kamto be president? Yes, he represents a lot of hope for an ordinary Cameroonian. He put forward a program which is acceptable. He's showing care to people on the, every single citizen of Cameroon seems to be his concern. Now, how is it going to play out? How is it going to watch out? I can't tell you for sure.
Well, let me ask you one more question about this uh, lawsuit against Paul Biya and his cronies. And the question is, can you look at your camera? I'm sorry, you're out of your camera there.
Okay.
Can you look
Can you
at?
see me?
Yes, please. Can you look at that camera straight into the eye of the camera and say to the people who are watching, the thousands and the probably millions who are watching across by way of television, I will not, for any reason, by any means, accept any money from La République de Cameroon meant to bribe me to abandon this case. Can you look at the camera and say that?
I can do that indeed. And
Go ahead.
I hereby say, I will not, by any means or way, accept or take or solicit any money from the government of La République du Cameroon in order to abandon the lawsuit that I brought about Paul Biya in his capacity as an individual. And I can also tell you that I am open to any initiative where I can play part to bring about talk between Southern Cameroon and La République so that this issue can be resolved peacefully. I am also open to go anywhere they will invite me in that aspect of things, and I'm willing to do that in a solely on the benevolent ground, nothing to do with money.
All right, let's take the first caller who is calling from ground zero. Hello, sir.
Hello, good evening, Secretary Chris.
Good evening, sir, and thanks for the call.
Hello?
May I know where you are calling from, please?
Yeah, I'm calling from Ground Zero, precisely Mezam County.
Okay, how was Ghost Town in Mezam today?
Wonderful, wonderful. It was wonderful, just as usual.
Okay, 50 seconds.
so-
What is your question or contribution?
Yeah, I want to ask Mr. Jean-Pierre. Let him answer. What caused the first federation to fail? That is he talking of federation. Point two, he says he does not vote for Camto, and that he does not have the views of Camto, but he's talking of federation, and Camto is talking of federation. Therefore, can he justify that he is not talking for Camto, or that Camto has not sent him to deceive Ambazonians? Thank you very much.
Thank you for those questions. Jean-Pierre, you heard it. Go ahead, please. I know I have your answer, but I would prefer you say it yourself. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, the first one regarding the failure of the federation, that was purely dishonesty. Because the moment they found out that there was oil in southern Cameroon, so the French pushed Aijo to come in and bring the project of reunification so that we grab the oil. I think that was the most motivation. And they wanted to make Anglophone become Francophone. They wanted to Francophonize the Southern Cameroon. I think that was I mean, that's the way I see it, the failure of the first federation. Now, the second question was, what I mentioned here was that my preference, because I don't want to see my brother break away, would have been a referendum if people choose so. But by saying federalism, but by saying federalism, I mean a really federalism in form of devolution. It means that you deal with your own affair. You do what they call the common law. You implement your justice, the education system. You organize your economy. The way you see it. If we are to come together to do something together, it has to be what we are best at achieving as such. I myself, I have my own political party to answer. I don't want to be calling people names, but I have a political party called Cameroon Front, Cameroon Patriotic Front. That political party is not registered in Cameroon, of course, because you will not find people and ask them to recognize you as such. I have my own political party. But my thinking was, we can all come together. I'm talking on the Francophone side. We can all join force to get rid of this criminal regime and give Cameroonians the possibility to choose their own leader. So that was my second answer. Having said that, I'm still saying, if there's a democratic process involving only people from southern Cameroon to choose their pattern, their path, what they want to do, if they choose majority that, look, we want to go our way, we should not stop them. But if you ask my opinion, my preference, I would rather go for federalism. But true federalism, it has to be implemented, and it has to be implemented by an authority.
All right.
All right. International.
All right. Thank you. So I get your point. Your point is you, as a person, would prefer a federal system. However, if Ambazonians choose to go their way, you have absolutely no problem with that.
We should not stop them. We should accompany them. We should even send, if you are teaching things there, if you need, remember when Guinea chose to break away from France, back in, I think, September 1958. French took everywhere from them. But people went there, other African people, Cameroonians went there to teach, journalists went in there. If this was to happen to Ambazonia, you want to go away, and you want to go away peacefully, haven't gone into a democratic process, of course, we will continue to work hand in hand, and we will not become enemy overnight. And that's the way I want things to happen.
All
we
right.
won't be saying.
Thank you. Let's get the next caller, who is also calling from Ground Zero. Hello, sir.
Hello, Mr. Chris.
Hello, sir.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir. You are calling in from where, sir?
I'm calling from Ground Zero, precisely the northern zone.
All right. 50 seconds, sir. What do you have to contribute or to ask?
I have a question for Mr. Jean-Pierre.
Okay, go on.
Yes, I wish him to answer to the hearings of Ambazonia that do they have a saying in their dialect that if a snake bites you, then you see in a millipede. Then you have to dodge away from the millipede, because we see Mr. Jean-Pierre being a millipede because he talks about federation, which we had the first federation. What went wrong with the first federation? Can he go to school? Then he goes in a class. He goes ahead. When he passes exam, do they promote him or they demote him backward? Because when he talks about federation, it seems like he wants to demote our struggle, of which he could not be talking about federation when we have people's heads cut and hung on sticks.
All right.
And people, yes.
I think I get your point. We don't want to belabor that point. I think he has provided very clear answers to it. He is saying, in his opinion, in his preference, he would wish that there could be a federation, but he knows that we have asked for that for the past 60 years. It didn't happen, but he is also saying, but if we choose to go our way, so be it. So let's leave it there so we can get others calling. Thank you for the call, sir. Let's get another ground. No, this is now from Europe. Hello, sir. Hello.
Hello. Yeah. Secretary Chris?
Yes, sir. Go on. I can hear you. 50 seconds for your question, please.
Okay. I consider Mr. Dupont as a brother, because he has spoken about us more than some of our activists and leaders. I can see the truth in him. But my question is this: what has he got to say about the struggle that we are facing within us? The group in the prison, what Ayuk is doing to destroy our fight, Ayaba is doing, killing our people. What advice can he give to the IG? What does he want us to do better?
I think,
win this
thank
fight.
you,
Thank you.
thank you for the call. I think it would be better to stick to the subject of the day, which is his views on the, our struggle. We can talk about all those other parties on a different occasion. Thanks for the call. Let me get this other caller here. Hello. Hello.
Good evening, Secretary, please.
Good evening,
Hello,
sir.
good
May I
evening,
know where
Secretary,
you're calling
please.
from, please?
From Italy.
From Italy. Thank you. And what is your contribution or question?
What I want to say is that from all what I've gotten from Mr. Jean-Pierre, I have come to realize that he's not different from Camto. So let them go and leave us alone. We will take our decision by ourselves. We need a neutral mediator, not a La Republic citizen to mediate for us. So
I don't think he is talking.
that
Hold on. I don't think he is talking about mediation. He is talking about. In fact, I think I heard him mention the need for a mediation that takes place, a genuine mediation that takes place out of La Republic.
okay, if that is the case, then that one is welcome. But we don't need them around us because they are just to distract us. We are now in our project. So let him know that we, the people of Amazonia, we have rights and nothing will stop us from separating. So we have to take the decision and nothing can change us
Thank
from
you.
that.
Thank you for the call. Jean-Pierre, you can tell from the, I think the last three callers, they are done with anything federation. You can hear that from their voices. They are done. Ambazonians are done. They are fed up with federation. And I think I have said it here again and again. When this struggle began, some of us believe if French Cameroon had agreed to sit down on the table and we'll talk about the form of state, we would not be here today, because then we could talk about federation. But not over all these killings, not over all these towns and cities burnt down. Ambazonians are done with anything federation. Do you see anything wrong with that?
Well, I couldn't agree more with you, because that's what we've been saying all along. When this thing happened, there were people even back in Cameroon. I've not set foot in Cameroon for the last 20 years, but I follow the tendency, and I heard people that I don't know personally saying that, look, you have rejected the peaceful protester. Now you brought in extremists. That's how they speak. That's not the way I think, but that's the way people speak over there. But there was a chance, and rightly so, people have been asking for federalism time and again. Instead of delivering it, you've been taking minister from Southwest and Northwest, appoint them prime minister, appoint the minister of this and minister of that, which was not the real issue, because what people were looking for was the implementation of proper federalism and bilingualism. So I understand. I cannot blame. If you are genuine, you only understand to your regret. It is sad to come into that conclusion, but we haven't done anything to stop that occurrence. That's what I can say.
Thank you.
Because there were opportunity to do this, but those opportunities are gone. But as a fellow Cameroonian, it's only sad that if this is to happen, we'll be very sad to see you go. Now, if there was a chance to do a referendum, yes. Or again, the other gentleman was saying, when you've been bitten by snake, even the fly will make it run away.
Right.
So it is sad. But what I'm saying again, I don't know how the process you're going to use to do that. But within a democratic process, within yourself, within your own.
Well, the problem is, yeah, you are correct. Where there is a democratic process, something can happen, but there is none. They're not going to be any. You know where we are coming from. There is no democracy. There isn't going to be any. And so that is why Ambazonia says, once you have been bitten by a snake, you don't want to be bitten a second time. They are done with this. Let's get the next caller, please. Hello.
Hello.
Hello, sir. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Germany.
Calling from Germany. Thank you. And what is your contribution, sir?
First, I want to thank Jean-Pierre for coming on the show to explain about the case he has with La République. So I'll make a very brief comment before asking my question. We'll start with a disclaimer because I know we have a lot of Francophone brothers watching. So
are you a Francophone yourself?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not. Ambazonians are not warmongers. We are just fighting to defend ourselves. Okay. And for two, we are not afraid or saying unioning is bad. But if and when that happens anytime, it has to happen on our terms, not on terms dictated on us. My question to Jean-Pierre is, I have a very high military official friend who told me this, and I'll say it in French so that Jean-Pierre perhaps will understand. He said, si nos frères francophones pouvaient juste faire ce que nos frères anglophones ont fait Bafoussam, l'Ouest va tomber en 9 mois. That is to say, if the francophones just had the hearts to do what the anglophones have done, the Western province will fall in a month. So my question to Jean-Pierre is, he knows, and all of us knows, ballots, his case at the ICC, Okanto, they will never change Cameroon the way it is. It will not happen in the farthest of our dreams. Why not him, either with the bus or with whatever means, encourage his brother Francophones to rise up and free their country? Because this is what the Ambazonians have done. Why not take that initiative and stand for it? Because the only thing this government understands is power. And as Ambazonians have stood to demonstrate that power, now we see a lot of movements everywhere. They are dancing and they are having trouble. They are having sleepless nights. So rather than Francophones trying to organize marches across Europe or be making marches or making Facebook lives, they should galvanize their youths and let them know the future of their country depends on them standing their ground as the Ambazonians have done. If they are not ready to do that, this noise will flow as a shadow, and then the sun will overcome it, and things will go as normal in Cameroon. So my question is that was the question I had for him.
Okay, thank you for calling. Jean-Pierre, before you, let me add to the question. Are you a member of BAS? Or if not, what do you think of BAS?
Well, a part of my other activity in life, I also used to do artistic promotion. I've promoted most of Cameroonian and African artists within the UK. Now, that was to defend the African culture. In fact, I'm the creator of the party in white, all in white, in UK, but I was doing it on a penny for the soul. They were not paying me for that. So after the election, 2018, October, 26th of October, I posted in my Facebook, inspiring myself with what happened in Congo. Because for the last 20 years, we have not seen a Congolese musician in Europe because they're being combated. So what I said was that every artist that went to Paul Biya should not be allowed to sing here anymore. And thereafter, they created the BAS. I'm not part of it, but I have my own political party called Patriotic Front. It's a very interesting question the gentleman from Germany asked me, because that's what I've been saying all along. And I want him to get my detail. And he can come to Facebook. Last week, I gave an interview to a French Cameroon television. And I was telling them that, look, we cannot, I'm glad it's in Germany. I'm sure you know a writer called Clausewitz. Clausewitz was a Prussian military. He lost the war against Napoleon. And he was saying, politics is a continuation of war by other means. Nobody will hand you over power. You have to fight for it. Power is like a wife. Somebody will not, if you want to steal my wife, don't ask me because I won't agree to it. You have to snatch her from me. And that's the way power is. And I gave that interview last week. You can look at it. I, for one, has never believed in election in Cameroon. That's why I created this party. This party is not registered in Cameroon. And I was thinking that the only way to bring about a regime change in Cameroon is by military force.
let's get back. Let's get back to the caller. The caller is saying the Francophone youth is not doing what the Ambazonians are doing. If they were doing so, they would have changed their leadership. And that in extension to your own organization, you can have an organization on paper and expect change. You are not even in the right place. You are in London. You want to change Cameroon. You should be on the ground in Cameroon, except you mean that you have been declared, you have declared yourself an asylee and you can't go back there. But there need to be something in your country, something compared to what Ambazonians have in their own country. You can have, I mean, the problem is the boss is talking about it, but they take no action. They do nothing. Do you really see that as bringing change, enough to bring change in that country?
Listen, Chris, you are a political journalist. You know that I'm not coming on air to disclose any strategy that we have. The only thing I can tell you is that me having sympathy for Southern Cameroon's problem, whatever you guys have been doing has opened people's mind up. And if you follow the interview I did last week to one of whatever, I was addressing the Cameroon people saying, look, do not lose hope, keep hope alive, because very soon change will come your way. But you cannot possibly come on air on the international television and start disclosing your strategy. Well, I can only tell you that we're working on things, and I like very much that last caller. He make a lot of sense on his questioning, and people are working on things. And I used to say, if you go into my page, my Facebook page, I write about politics, and I tell people, look, you are crying about suffering in Cameroon. This will only happen if you genuinely want it to happen. And there are a lot of Francophones citing the Southern Cameroon people in example. Because you cannot cry wolf and then go to bed with it. You have to do something about it.
All right.
I will tell you.
Let me get the next caller. Let's get the next caller because we're going to be rounding this up soon. Hello, sir.
Yes, sir. Secretary Chris, this is Emmanuel calling from Germany. I am so proud of you, and thank you, Dr. Sako and Bo Herbert and the rest of the team helping this generation of Amazonians to be free. I would like to tell you a story. Some years ago, I went to Buea to an internet cafe. And in that internet cafe, all the platforms, WhatsApp, Hotmail, Yahoo, and everything was in French. So I told the guy, why is it that it's in French? We are here in Buea. This is Southern Cameroon. He said he got orders from Yaoundé to put all those platforms in French because they really want to Francophonize us. So my question is this. I mean, if we are not very careful going into a federation with Francophones, they call us Anglophones, they will write any contract you make with them.
Hold on. Caller, hold on there. Let me clarify one thing. We are not discussing federation here. It is out of bounds. It is not on our table. It is not in our vocabulary. We are only mentioning that because Jean-Pierre wished that could happen, but I also like that, like the idea that he is also very open-minded for us to go and form our own nation. So, listen, we are not, when I mean we, I mean Ambazonians, I mean this interim government, we are not entertaining, we are not discussing anything called federation. That time is gone. So I plead with you, forget about federation. It is not going to be on any table. Let's talk about a free and independent Southern Cameroon. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
All right, I think okay, he's dropped the call. Okay, go ahead, Jean-Pierre, if you have something to say about that.
Well, what I want to say, you can only see the damage, the extent to which this dictatorship has brought our country. The country is divided. Feelings are very, very really high, and I cannot blame anybody because we have seen this for over 20 years. And we were saying, look, there will be a day that things will go out of hand. Now, what I'm saying again, even though my preference is chimeric. If Ambazonian are to go their way, we don't want to part away from each other with bad feelings. We can still work together. Maybe someday, you will see that the regime has changed in Cameroon, and that we are disposable to, we are disposed to work together again.
We work together as neighbors, good neighbors, isn't it?
We work together as neighbors. Look at what is happening in the European Union. France, we had 2 wars. The first war and the second war all started between France and Germany. But today, when you are talking about European Union, the motor of the European Union is constituted by France and Germany. Look at England. England had a war of 100 years with France. But today they are doing military training together and so on. Look at Belgium. Belgium was once the same country with the Netherlands, Luxembourg, and so on. But they all went their part. But they have the same relationship. If you kill somebody in Luxembourg, you run away to Belgium, you are in trouble. So even if you guys are going away, let's not part from each other with the bad feelings.
No, I don't think that is the way we are. It's already your elite. Your elite and the leadership in your country that is a trouble. We will still, when we are finally gone, we will still consider French Cameroon neighbors. And we will actually open the borders and welcome good people like you to come have fun in Amazonia and go to the beaches in Limbe, in Tico, and in Indiana. Have fun there. So thank you for that. Let me get the next caller, please. Let me get 2 more callers and we will call it a day. Hello, sir.
Hello. Hi. I'm calling from the UK. Unfortunately, I'm not able to hear the guest since I switched onto the phone and turned off the mic. So this will just go straight to him, but I will not be able to hear him back, and I'll go back to.
All right. When you ask your question, we will drop the call so you can then hear him.
All right. So my question is going back to the lawsuit. Now he talked. I know that there's a possibility if he has made an Article 15 application to the prosecutor of the court, that will definitely be acknowledged. And but the way he's sounding is as if he has control. Now, when that is acknowledged, he doesn't have anything. They don't have any responsibility or an obligation to report back to him.
What is this? Hold on. What is this Article 15 about?
Oh, of the Rome Statutes, I think he would know. The Rome Statutes of the ICC, of the International Criminal Court. Any individual can provide information to the prosecutor to be able to investigate a situation. That is what he has done. But I think there is some bit of exaggeration there onto the point where he's saying he will not receive bribe from La Republique and then drop the case. He has nothing to do. Once the prosecutor has passed the case to the pre-trial chamber and they are investigating, they don't owe him any obligation to report back to him or to whether he decides to drop the case or not. No, these are crimes to which no derogation applies. Even himself
so
will not be able to stop
you are essentially saying at that point the ICC becomes both a plaintiff.
The ICC will investigate the matter. If Articles 5, 6, 7, and 8, they added the recent one, crimes of aggression, which doesn't seem to mention. If an investigation leads to such a thing, they will investigate. They will not come back to him or report to him or even say maybe he will take bribe and drop the case. No. I think, yes, they have acknowledged an application.
But hold on. But doesn't him remain a witness?
He doesn't. Witness to what?
To the ICC, to the case.
No, he has mainly provided information that the prosecutor will investigate the situation where the crimes alleged to have been committed. Once that investigation starts, he has nothing to do with the case. They would probably just acknowledge and thank him for his support to the court for investigating crimes of such grievous nature. What the problem is that something has happened. Many people have been writing and these letters have been acknowledged, but don't take an acknowledgement and make it to create a mountain out of a molehill. No, that is not how these things work.
Okay, let's hear from him. I think you make the point. Jean-Pierre, I think the caller is making a very, very vital point there. This thing is not about you. You are basically providing the court some evidence of crime being committed in Cameroon against Ambazonians. So you do no longer determine how the court proceeds. That's what the caller is saying.
Chris, can you drop the call for the caller to listen to my answer?
I'm sorry?
No, I was saying that maybe we need to wait for the caller for him to answer, because he was saying he needs to drop the call for him to answer my...
Okay, he dropped the call already, but you can answer him. You can answer his concerns. Yeah. I think he makes a very vital point there, that you no longer have the power, being an individual, to... Yeah, go ahead.
He's very right, and he's very knowledgeable. I have to tell you that. When you asked me to make the statement saying that I was here by declaring I was not going to take a bribe, I was doing it because you asked me to do so.
Right.
But the moment I told you earlier on that what you call a lawsuit, over there they call it information. You write to the office of the prosecutor. Now, they would take your case. These are serious crimes. It's not like I will sue you, you've stolen my car, and then we might reach out of court a settlement, and then I say, look, I'm dropping the case. Over there, it doesn't happen like that. These are very serious crime and accusation. Now, we are talking about war crime, we're talking about genocide, and we're talking about crime against humanity. Now, if reporting this crime, they find out that they did happen, I am not in no position to stop whatever. They don't have to report back to me. The only thing I have on my acknowledgement letter was that we have informed whoever was accused, because in my case, I did mention individuals that were holding high position, but not in the capacity of their function. I was singling them out as individuals, even though they were high-rank minister in Cameroon. But the ICC doesn't have to come back to me. The caller is absolutely right. If in the worst case they will write to me and thank me that you've done something good, you know, you've reported this, but I'm not part of it. I can't stop it happening. Hello?
I'm asking, can you do a follow-up or provide them with more evidence along the way?
We can do so. That's what I was telling you, that the fact that I brought about a lawsuit doesn't stop anyone doing the same on the same case. Okay. And I can bring complementary information to sustain the face what I did. But there's nothing I can do to stop the case to go ahead if investigation was to happen.
All right. All right, thank you. Let's get the last caller. Hello, sir. Calling from Ground Zero. Hello.
Thank you very much. I am calling from the southern Cameroon, Bamida County. And the question I want to ask the man in the studio, the lawyer, if I'm asking, where was he when Kashina Nyangwe and Munju, during a tripartite in this country, wrote a federal constitution and it was thrown into the dustbin? Now, what has happened again? The second question, what has happened to him? Where was he when the SCNC took the Republic of Cameroon into the African Court of Human Rights at the Banjul, and the declaration of record was in favor of the Southern Cameroon, and asking the Republic of Cameroon to pay the damages done to the Southern Cameroon, and up to date, nothing has been done. Then the other question is, when Pobia declared from the United Republic of Cameroon to La Republic of Cameroon, where had it been all this time? And then taking Pobia personally to court and Atanganji. Is it because this war declared until the English part of this country did not pass through the parliament, and that he had decided to take them individually because it was not the parliament that took declared this war against the Southern Cameroons? And the most essential, the most important one, what has he done on the declaration against La Republic of Cameroon that was in favor of the Southern Cameroon, of the African Court of Human Rights, that the Southern Cameroon to La Republic into the Banjul Court? And
what do you think he should have done?
Yeah, what would you have done all that time? What had he been staying when they had asked this problem of Cameroon to pay the damages done to the Southern Cameroon? Where was he that is coming up now? And what is his own partner to play with that particular
My question to you is, do you think an individual has the power to do anything over rulings that have already been made in those courts? Other than being vocal against them, because to his credit, he has condemned all those things right here on the set here, to say that the fact that La République has essentially assimilated Ambazonia is absolutely wrong.
No, but not just that. But if he's saying that you're calling him an individual, and individually he has taken the President Paul Biya and Atangaji to court, and that's what I'm finding out. Is it because the Parliament did not order the war to be on the Southern Cameroon? Is it why he has taken the two of them personally, because he didn't pass through the Parliament?
All right. Thanks for the call. I will let him throw some more light on the questions you are asking. Jean-Pierre, it's your turn, sir.
Well, I think the caller is barking the wrong tree. He's talking to me like I was an adversary to the Southern Cameroon, which is just the contrary. The case I brought here was purely about my concern in relation with humanitarian situation. If the military of the Republic of Cameroon were fighting the soldiers of Ambazonia, we could say, well, that's war. But my concern, what actually sparked the whole thing was the horrible image I saw. Children, some of them under the age of 2, very old people, unarmed, inoffensive. That was my concern. My concern was purely on humanitarian ground, even though I can understand the political stand of Southern Cameroon. So I think he's talking to the wrong person, because it's like you are preaching to somebody that is already a convert. That's what I can say.
All right. Jean-Pierre, it's been a pleasure, a wonderful pleasure to have you on ABC Amber Television. We hope to I'll have you back some other time. I hope that you can go around, put some francophones together and put money on the table. I mean money, dough, as they call it. Put it on the table to show your genuine support for what Ambazonians are trying to do here.
If there are any development, good development, we come back to you guys and report. And I hope that by the end of this year, both sides will see some sense in coming together. I'm talking about the government in Cameroon, that they will see some sense of doing the right thing being sitting around the table and starting negotiations.
We are hoping that the government of Cameroon will come to table with us at a French mediation. Other than that, we do not see a possibility of meeting with them at any other occasion other than a mediated or a mediation table. So we're hoping that that happens, and we're hoping that they see the need. But some of you who see what we are doing and understand what we are doing can add to the pressure on them, saying, hey, you cannot continue to kill Ambazonians to keeping Cameroon one. Get to the table with them. Some of you who are well placed, like yourself, can add in that pressure. We are waiting for their elite and people like Camto to do it. You know that is not going to happen.
No, I think that people are actually changing their minds. Some of them are start saying sense. We have to take into account the ignorance factor, that people were not aware of really what happened back in 1961, in 1972. And we'll be lobbying towards that negotiation, that's the perspective of that negotiation, because that's the only way out. You see, war is a thing that nobody stands to gain. You see, so our next task is to start lobbying toward that perspective.
All right. Again, thank you very much, Jean-Pierre, for joining me on ABC Amber Television. We look forward to seeing the outcome of your case at the ICC, and keep me updated, please.
I will do. Thank you for having me, and thank you to our listeners.
Thank you. God bless. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is it with Jean-Pierre Dupont. That is it with Jean-Pierre Dupont. It was great to have him with us. And before I go, I just want to make this notification here. I see people writing that the Republic has already declared 1st May and 20th May cancelled. No, they have not cancelled it. Ladies and gentlemen, they have not cancelled it. They hope that the announcement will get us stay home. And then on 20th May, they will bring out people from Bunda, people from Douala, people from Kongsamba, people from Lum, to ferry them into our territory to do their march past on 20th May, and they will bring in, of course, their soldiers too, to do the march past. They will video it and send it across the globe and tell the international community that, look at Ambazonia, things are getting back to normal. Look at the march past for 20th May in Ambazonia. Ladies and gentlemen, we are not taking any chances with that. We are not gonna take any chances with that, and that is the reason why we have declared the shutdown for May, starting on May the 18th, which is our regular Ghost Town Monday, through May the 20th. We are not going to give them any room to blindfold us, and before you know, they are conducting their march past on May 20th with their disguise, army and motorbikers and people they import in from across the Mongol. Let us be very, very wise. That is why, again, we are not taking anything for granted, even though they announced that we are not taking anything for granted. That is why we are announcing a shutdown, and that decision will stay. Ladies and gentlemen, let's keep it on. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for staying put. I want to believe that you have benefited something from this broadcast today. I look forward to seeing you within the week. Please stay glued on ABC Amber Television, and good night.
Start a new career as a Linux system administrator with an average salary of $80,000 to $120,000 a year. Dynamic Tech Academy has transformed many lives for the better through our 6-month Linux program. We are so excited to announce that we are adding DevOps course and Red Hat certification at no charge, which will make students more competitive. Over 80% of our students have no prior IT background, yet vast majority of alumni land jobs in 3 to 6 months after they start applying. Our ultimate goal is to reach 100% student employment, so we work with every student until he or she gets a job. Upon successful completion of the course, we will provide resume building, interview preparation, and job placement assistance. With the Linux course, you get more than 300 hours of in-depth training, and you get to learn from experienced instructors. By the end of the program, our students can be Red Hat certified if they choose. Our alumni work in companies, both government and private companies in the USA, Canada, and even Europe. Want to learn more about the program? You can contact us at info@dynamicdmv.com, or you can call us at 240-604-9505, or you can call us at 240-423-7865. And you can also visit us at www.dynamictechdmb.com.